This is the PickBits Daily Signal for Monday, July 20th, your signal in the day's tech noise. Here's the lineup. 1. The thing we've been tracking since June finally got a price tag. Homeland Security is moving to pay a data broker $125 million for ICE access to your records. 2. Mozilla scored 6 period tracking apps on privacy, and the range runs from a clean 10 to a 2. 3. A security firm turned prompt injection around and pointed it back at the attackers, with numbers behind it. And 4. On the brighter side, DeepMind and Isomorphic put a drug design engine on standby for the next outbreak. Let's get into it. This is the PickBits Daily Signal. Story 1. Back on June 20th, we covered a court telling ICE it couldn't pull people's tax records, and ICE apparently going out and buying them instead. This week, that pattern got a price tag. Homeland Security moved on July 17th to pay Thomson Reuters Special Services $125 million over 5 years, $25 million a year, for ICE access to a database called Clear. Here's what sits in Clear: names, addresses, social security numbers, ethnicity, social media posts, geolocation. All of it bought from commercial sources and stitched into one searchable profile. The procurement language describes letting ICE continuously monitor millions of people, and buying that data doesn't require the warrant that compelling it would. That is not a loophole somebody found last week.
Rather than obtaining a warrant, as they would be required to for a wiretap of a phone call, government agencies such as the FBI, IRS, DEA, DHS, and others have begun buying data from data brokers to
Congress has been staring at this problem for years, and the bill meant to close it never became law. What's actually new today is the stated purpose. Prior ICE broker contracts were justified on immigration enforcement. This one names voter fraud as a use case. That points a mass surveillance product at the electoral process. Thomson Reuters says immigration status is not a search field in Clear. That's true, and it doesn't answer the question because you don't need an immigration status field when you already have the other 15 identifiers. More than 200 of their own employees have signed a letter objecting to these contracts. So here's your move: federal obligations post publicly. Search Thomson Reuters Special Services at usspending.gov and watch whether that 5-year ceiling actually gets drawn down. Follow this one, because the procurement record is the only durably public part of it. Story 2. Back in May, we looked at Microsoft putting health features into Copilot, and the line that stuck was Microsoft's own position that HIPAA doesn't apply to a direct-to-consumer product. Same gap, new product. Mozilla published an audit on July 16th of 6 period tracking apps, and the spread is the whole story. Yuki scored a clean 10 out of 10. Clue got an 8. Flow a 7, Period Calendar a 6, Planned Parenthood Spot on a 5. Stardust scored 2, after Mozilla found it sending reproductive symptom data alongside persistent device identifiers to a data pipeline firm called RudderStack. None of these apps carry the obligations a hospital would.
Roe v. Wade overturned. When you go to a doctor, your personal conversations are protected. But there's little to prevent app developers from sharing or selling the intimate details that you give them.
The sharper point is that we don't sell your data is a promise, not an architecture. Once an app broadcasts a device ID next to the fact that you're using a period app, that signal lands in your advertising profile whether or not anybody sold anything, which is why Yuki's 10 is worth understanding. Yuki didn't write a better policy. It keeps your data on your phone. You cannot leak or subpoena a database you never collected. Your move this week takes about a minute and covers every app at once, not just this category. On iPhone, settings, privacy and security, tracking, and switch off allow apps to request to track. On Android, settings, privacy, ads, delete your advertising ID. That breaks the join between what you use and who buys it. And if you're on Stardust, the migration target from Mozilla's own audit is Yuki. Story 3. We've covered prompt injection a few times this month, always as the attack that makes an agent read a poisoned web page and hand over your secrets. A security firm called TraceBit published research on July 14th that turns it around. They planted decoy credentials, canary tokens, in a test environment and seeded those decoys with what they call context bombs, injected instructions that fire when an attacker's AI agent picks the credential up. Across 5 frontier models, agents reached at least one attack path in 91% of baseline runs. In the seeded environments, 15%. Claude Opus, 4.8 went from 93% success at reaching admin access to complete failure. The defense here is the model's own obedience. The same instruction following that makes an agent exploitable is what you point back at whoever is driving it. Now, most companies haven't touched this next bit. If model guardrails are load-bearing for your security perimeter, the team tuning the model and the team running the perimeter are usually not the same team.
Practice. So we have an AI agent that's authorized to do read and write to a Postgres database. If I was jailbroken or had prompt injection, they can read or write anything from the database. And so we want to strip that standing.
This bit is honest about the catch here, and it's a real one. This works because models follow injected instructions, which is exactly the property every vendor is currently working to make less reliable. It's real control with a shelf life nobody can quote you. Your move this week costs nothing. Canary tokens are free and take minutes. Generate them at canarytokens.org and scatter them across your file shares, credential stores, and repos. A token that fires tells you something is walking your environment. If you run agents in production, send this to whoever owns your credentials. Story 4, and this one ends the week somewhere better. Back in June, we flagged Isomorphic Labs as the bellwether, the test of whether AlphaFold-style AI actually produces medicine or just produces very good press. On July 16th, Google DeepMind and Isomorphic published a joint bioresilience program, and Isomorphic stood up a dedicated unit whose entire job is to point its drug design engine, ISO-DDE, at a novel outbreak and design countermeasures fast. The program rests on more than 15 partnerships with government and biosecurity bodies built over the past year, organized around prevention, detection, and response. What makes it different from the usual announcement is simple. They built a team that switches on when a new pathogen shows up, not a research agenda.
As well, of course, when we're thinking about preclinical research and AI drug discovery, usually using the old methods, you were talking, 3 to 6 years? To what extent can you cut that time frame down?
The bottleneck in an outbreak has never been whether somebody can eventually design a therapeutic. It's how many months that takes. Now, the honest limits. Nobody gets treated today because of this. Its preparedness and its whole value is the response time it delivers when something actually emerges. Our own coverage has a number on that skepticism. More than 200 AI-discovered drugs are sitting in trials with 0 approvals so far. DeepMind also claims more than 15 partners, while naming none of them. An unnamed partner list is not an auditable one. If you work anywhere near public health, read the program description and find out where your institution sits, because that engine cannot start until somebody hands it a sequenced target. Follow this one. 4 stories, and the one I'd keep is the last one. A drug design engine sitting ready for an outbreak that hasn't happened yet. That's a good thing to build before you need it. That's the signal. I'll see you tomorrow.